This is the SAT Math Whiz tutoring service, and here's an SAT math lesson on basic algebra. We're all at different stages in our knowledge of math when we're coming into the SAT, but of course we all take the same test, or the same set of tests, being the SAT and the ACT. So if the basic algebra that goes into the SAT is a challenge for you, this is a great video just to kind of see how I go through some of the steps of solving some of your most straightforward algebra problems. First, let's take a look at a problem from College Board's 2004 practice test. If r equals 2t and t equals 3, what's the value of 2r? Always know what the prompt is. What's the value of 2r? Because a lot of times on a problem like this, you can go through the steps, do correct math, and arrive at a number, and then plug in the wrong number as your answer. So we have to always be extra aware of what the prompt is. So let's go ahead and start. R equals 2t. They're saying t equals 3. A good rule of thumb would be to always plug in something like this 3 here with parentheses. So r equals 2 times 3. R equals 6. So what I was saying about the prompt is not to choose 6 as your answer, because that's not what they're asking us. They're asking us what 2r is. So if I want to take this r and turn it into 2r, that means I have to multiply both sides by 2. And if r equals 6, that means that 2r equals 12. And that would be your answer on that problem. Here's a problem from a 2002 College Board practice test. X equals -2, y equals -3. What's the value of x squared times x minus y? So just go ahead and start the simple way. Write out what you have. X squared times x minus y. So we're going to fill in -2 for our x, so -2 squared, and also -2 right here for this x, and -3 for y. We're going to keep everything else the same. So it's -2 squared times -2 minus -3. So although this seems like the easiest problem, one slip up and you can apply a negative sign the wrong way or lose a negative sign and get the problem wrong. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. PEMDAS says to do first parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication and division, then addition and subtraction. So the first thing we should do here is clear up whatever's inside of the parentheses. So inside of the parentheses we have -2 minus -3. Now within there, the first thing that we see inside of this parentheses is actually multiplication, because I've got -3. Whenever you have a negative sign outside of a parentheses, there's really an invisible 1 there. So that's really -1 times -3, which multiplies out. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's +3. So here we have -2 plus 3, and we still have the -2 squared on the outside. -2 plus 3 is +1. And we've taken care of the parentheses. Now we can turn our attention to the exponent. -2 squared is really just -2 times -2. A negative times a negative is a positive once again, so that comes out to +4. So the answer is just 4 times 1, which is 4. So that would be choice C.
I called Cheryl, but
here's a problem from College Board's 2007 practice test. K and M are defined by the equations above. What's the value of M when W equals 4 and X equals 1? They're telling us that K equals 3 times W times X. So K equals 3 times W times X, and we're going to fill those in. W is 4, X is 1. Therefore, K equals 3 times 4 times 1, which is 12. Now we'll turn our attention to the M. M equals W minus 1 times K. Well, we know that W is 4. And we're saying that K is 12 because that's what we just figured out. So M equals 4 times 1, 3, times 12, which is 36. So the final prompt here in this problem is asking us, what is the value of M in this situation? And we've determined that M is equal to 36. Here's a problem from College Board's 2001 practice test. If that statement is true, what's the value of M? Okay, so we're just basically going to go through the steps here. Once again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally would say to first look at what's inside the parentheses. So I'm going to take that first. 5 plus 2 is 7 times M plus 3 over 4 equals 6. Now we're getting at some real basic algebra here. The goal of algebra is to solve for the variable. However, you can't solve for the variable until the variable is in a group all by itself. So really what we're looking for is M. But M is in a group with 7 and M. 7 and M is in another group that I would call 7M plus 3. And that group right there is being divided by 4. So we're going to solve this problem in reverse order, getting rid of all of those groups, essentially peeling away the onion until we can get to M. First, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. The 4's cancel. 7M plus 3 equals 24. Then we're going to take away 3 from both sides. 7M equals 21. Then we're going to go ahead and just get M by itself by dividing by 7. And M equals 3. So what's the value of M in this problem? The answer would be 3. Here's a problem from a College Board 2001 practice test. If that sentence is true, then what is x equal to essentially? In algebra, the first thing you want to make sure of, usually, is to combine your like terms. So if I have 2x plus 4x plus 6x equal to negative 24, the first algebraic step would be to combine all of those. If I have 2 things here and 4 more here and 6 more here all together, that means that I have 12 things. To get x by itself, right now x is being multiplied by 12, so the opposite is to divide by 12. And the answer is that x equals negative 2. Here's a problem from a College Board 2011 practice test. 1/3 y plus 9 equals 0, then y equals 1/3 y plus 9 equals 0. So as I said before, our first goal is going to be to get to the y, but we need to realize that y is in this group. 1/3 y is a group. We need to get that group by itself and then solve for y. So first we'll take away 9 from both sides. 1/3 y equals negative 9. Now the opposite of multiplying by 1/3 is multiplying by 3 over 1. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. 1 and 1 cancel with each other. 3 and 3 cancel with each other. Y equals negative 27. So our answer here would be A. Here's a problem from a College Board 2002 practice test. 5p plus m equals 7, m equals 7, what's the value of p? 5p plus m equals 7. They're telling us that m is 7. So m is going to be 7. 5p plus 7 equals 7. So right now p is in this group. We need to get that group by itself before we can go ahead and divide by 5 to get p by itself. So we can subtract 7 from both sides. 5p equals 7 minus 7, which is 0. Now we need to get p by itself, so we can divide by 5 on both sides. And p is equal to 0 over 5, which is just 0. So choice A would be correct there. Here's a problem from a College Board 2002 practice test. 3x minus 5 equals x plus 8. What's the value of x? Like I said, the first thing you should do on any problem is to combine like terms. What I mean when I say combine like terms is any like terms that are on the same side of the equal sign should be grouped together. So for instance, if I had 2x plus 1x minus 5 equals x plus 8, here I have two x terms on the left side of the equal sign. So before I do anything else, I would do 2x plus 1x becomes 3x. And then from there I can do the normal steps of algebra. Now, don't confuse adding and subtracting from both sides with combining like terms. Because yes, in a sense, when I subtract x from both sides here, I am kind of combining my x's, but combining like terms is this step right here, which I'm circling in purple. That's combining like terms when things are on the same side of the equal sign. What we just did over here in green is basically taking away one x from both sides. So on the left, 3x minus x is 2x. The minus 5 stays, the equal sign stays, and x minus x cancels. We're left with 8 on the right-hand side. Now we have 2x in a group, and we need to get that group by itself before we can divide by 2 to get x by itself. So add 5 to both sides. 8 plus 5 is 13. 2x equals 13. Now we can divide by 2, and x equals 13 over 2, which is 6.5. Here's a problem from another College Board 2002 practice test. On a job, Robin was paid $6 an hour for the first 10 hours. For the time she worked beyond 10 hours, she was paid $9 an hour. If she worked 20 hours, how much was she paid? So she's paid a certain amount for the first 10 hours, and then she's paid a certain amount for the second 10 hours. And she worked 20 hours. So she's paid $6 an hour for the first 10 hours. So that's $6 for each of the 10 hours, so that's 6 times 10. And she's paid $9 an hour for the second 10 hours. So that's 9 times 10. 6 times 10 is 60. 9 times 10 is 90. And altogether she was paid 60 plus 90, which is $150. So the correct answer there would be E. Here's a problem from a College Board 2012 practice test. When her son's class held its magazine drive, Dr. Nelson bought 7 one-year magazine subscriptions for the waiting room in her office. She bought 4 subscriptions that have 12 issues per year, 2 subscriptions that have 4 issues per year, and 1 subscription that has 52 issues per year. Altogether, how many magazines will her office receive from these subscriptions? 7 one-year subscriptions. So 4 of them had 12 issues. 2 of them had 4 issues, and 1 of them had 52 issues. 4 times 12 is 48, 2 times 4 is 8, 1 times 52 is 52. And altogether our answer is 108. Here's a problem from a College Board 2004 practice test. An object thrown upward from a height of h feet with an initial velocity of v feet per second will reach a maximum height of h plus v squared over 64 feet. If the object is thrown upward from a height of 6 feet with an initial velocity of 32 feet per second, what will be its maximum height in feet? This question seems to have a lot of things thrown in there to make it seem difficult, a lot of big words, a lot of definitions. Basically, they're giving us a formula and they're asking us to plug into that formula. Because the maximum height is given by the formula they gave us, h plus v squared over 64. Now the question prompt is asking us, what is the maximum height? So all we have to do is plug into that formula. So that's a height of 6 feet plus a velocity of 32 so whatever that number is, that'll be our maximum height. (32 squared is 1024. The 64 stays on the bottom, and we still need to add that to 6. 1024 divided by 64 is 16. So we have 6 plus 16. And a really difficult looking question turned out to be really easy. 6 plus 16 is 22. Here's a problem from a College Board 2012 practice test. Each of the following is equivalent to that sentence except, and we need to go through figuring out which is the one that doesn't belong. So before I do that, I'm going to simplify the sentence that they gave us. If I distribute this a over b, that means that it's a over b times bc plus a over b times k. A over b times bc, a over b times bc plus a over b times k. Now this bc here is really bc over 1 because any number is itself over 1. And that means that in this multiplication sentence on the left, I've got a b on the top and a b on the bottom. So those are going to cancel with each other. So the most simplified version of the original sentence is AC plus, same thing with the k, that's k over 1 there. So that's AK over B. Now let's see which sentences are equivalent to that and which ones are not equivalent to that. Here I've got A over 1 distributed. The A is distributed on the top and 1 is multiplied in on the bottom. So we get AC plus AK. That's just taking the A and multiplying it by both of these. And on the bottom we have 1 times B. So that's AC over B plus AK over B. So right off the bat, this is looking like this might be the answer because it doesn't look like it's exactly equivalent to what we started with. But let's go through the other choices. Here, I've got A over 1. I've got C over 1 there. So it's this times that plus the first thing times the second thing. So for the first one, we get AC all over 1 plus AK over B. And that definitely is equivalent. For the third one, we'll go ahead and make this K over 1. BC is BC over 1. And we're going to distribute like we've been doing. So for the first one, we've got AK over B plus ABC over B. And we can simplify that a little because the B's are going to cancel. So that gives us AK over B plus AC, which is reversed, but it's the same exact thing that we have in the original sentence. For the third one, AC plus AK over B. Well, that's exactly what we had in the first sentence, so nothing needs to be done to that one. Now for choice E. Choice E is an important theoretical thing to talk about. When you have the numerator of a fraction that has pieces that are either added or subtracted, you can separate the numerator, but you cannot do the same if we had something being added in the denominator. You can't just separate it. So here, since it's in the numerator, we can separate it out. What I mean by that is I'm going to write ABC over B plus AK over B. Now, once again, that separation we did, we would not be able to do if there were separate terms being added together in the denominator, only when it's in the numerator. Okay, so now ABC over B, the B's cancel, which leaves us with AC plus AK over B, which once again is our original sentence. So out of the 5 choices, the only one that didn't match was choice A. This is the SAT Math Whiz tutoring service. Thanks for taking the time to watch my lesson. I can tutor you online. Go to satmathwiz.com, or you can email me at satmathwiz@gmail.com. The first lesson is free, so you can experience what it's like to have a Yale-educated SAT math specialist helping you to pursue your college goals. Once again, thanks for your time and watching my video.